So today's topic is about the election of Usman Razillah anhu, the third caliph, related to paper 2, and usually a question comes from this topic. So first of all, how Usman has been elected as a caliph. Election of Usman Razillah anhu, his election. So before knowing about his election, हमें पता होना चाहिए कि what happened and how Umar Razillah anhu died. We know that Umar Razillah anhu was attacked by a Persian slave named Feroz. Feroz had attacked Hazrat Umar anhu in the last days of the month of Zilhaj, and Umar anhu died on 1st of Muharram 24H. Okay, Umar anhu died on 1st of Muharram 24H. So when Umar was attacked, Umar anhu survived for few days, okay, 3 days, and during that time he gave them different instructions, he gave them different advice. You must mention that Umar's choice was Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah. Okay, Umar's choice was Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah. Umar wanted to nominate Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah as his successor. Fine. During his lifetime, Umar anhu wanted to nominate Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah as his successor. But Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah had died during Umar's rule because of an epidemic which was called plague. Because of a plague, Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah has died during Umar's rule. Umar's next choice was Abdurrahman bin Auf. Okay, so Umar's next choice was Abdurrahman bin Auf radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. But Abdurrahman bin Auf was not willing to shoulder this great responsibility. So he was not willing to shoulder this great responsibility at that time. Fine. So Umar anhu, finally what he did, he made a panel. Okay, he made a panel of 6 people from 10 blessed companions. They all were from 10 blessed companions. Okay, he made a panel of 6 people. Identify the names of these people who were there in the panel. There was Usman, Ali, Talha, Zubair, Abdurrahman bin Auf, and Saad bin Abi Waqas. So he made a panel. Finally, he made a panel of these 6 people that they will decide that who will be the next caliph. They will select from amongst themselves that who would be the next caliph. Umar anhu had advised that the next caliph, okay, must be elected within 3 days. Okay, maximum they can have their meeting and discussion for 3 days, and on the 4th day the caliph must take the charge of the office. This must not go beyond 3 days. This discussion and this further consultation should not go after 3 days. So Umar anhu had advised that the next caliph must be elected within the 3 days after his death. So he made a panel of Usman, Ali, Talha, Zubair, Abdurrahman bin Auf, and Saad bin Abi Waqas, and they were those people who were from the 10 blessed companions who were alive there at that time. Okay, they were the 10 blessed companions. We know that Abu Bakr had died, who was the first amongst the 10 blessed companions. Umar was on his deathbed and he was going to die. Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, another one of the 10 blessed companions, had already died earlier. Abdurrahman bin Auf was not willing, and there was one more who was Sa'id bin Zaid. Okay, Sa'id bin Zaid is also one of the 10 blessed companions, but Umar anhu intentionally and deliberately has not included his name since he was Umar's relative. He was Umar's brother-in-law. Okay, Sa'id bin Zaid was Umar's brother-in-law. So he has not included or mentioned his name so that people would not elect him. Okay, उनका जानबूझकर नाम इनका इसलिए नहीं रखा इसमें क्योंकि लोग क्या करते हैं कि फिर इनको इलेक्ट कर लेते हैं हज़रत उमर के बाद. And Umar Azlatullah anhu did not want that someone from his family should be elected as his successor. Okay, he had also not included the name of his son also in it. So they were all the senior companions, the member of the Shura. Okay, they were the members of Shura. The Shura members were there: Usman, Ali, Talha, Zubair, Abdurrahman bin Auf, Saad bin Abi Waqqas. They were the senior companions, the most senior companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So I told you that Umar's choice was Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, but since he had died during Umar's rule due to the plague, the epidemic which spread in Syria and some other parts of Arabia, Umar's next choice was Abdurrahman bin Auf, but Abdurrahman bin Auf was not willing to shoulder this great responsibility. So what he did finally, he made a panel of 6 people and he advised them that the caliph must be elected within the next 3 days after his death, and on the fourth day that caliph must take the charge of the office and he should start performing his duties. Okay, out of these, Talha was not there at that time. Talha was not present. So Talha was not there in Medina, and the election of caliph was such a great responsibility and it was such a great important task that could not be delayed because of his absence. So what they decided? They decided to complete the process in his absence. And Abdurrahman bin Auf was also not willing to take the and to shoulder this responsibility, so his name was also excluded, that no one should give and nominate him and mention his name. So discussion went on and finally majority of the votes were either in favor of Usman or Ali. After the meeting and after the discussion, majority of the people, they were either favored Usman or Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Okay, so finally they were Usman and Ali. Usman voted for Ali, Ali voted for Usman. Okay, and in the same way you can identify, I hope I am audible to all of you, and you can further identify that what happened further, that Abdurrahman bin Auf finally offered his services, that could you leave the matter on me, and I bear Allah is witness that I will not select but the better one of you. Okay, so finally Abdurrahman bin Auf had resigned and he offered his services as an arbitrator. Okay, it was decided that he will act as an arbitrator. He will he will be the one who will take the final decision. The final decision will be taken by Hazrat Usman radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and he will by Abdurrahman bin Auf, and he will act as an arbitrator. Okay, arbitrator will be Abdurrahman bin Auf, since he had resigned and he was not willing to take the responsibility. So Abdurrahman bin Auf वहाँ से हट गए. What happened later on? He discussed with the other members and he wanted to know about their opinion. Usman voted for Ali, Ali voted for Usman. So Zubair had voted for both. Okay, Saad bin Abi Waqqas mentioned Usman. So you can identify this is how the voting process went on, and Abdurrahman bin Auf finally noticed that majority of the people, they were either in favor of Usman or Ali. Okay, so finally he asked both of them that if anyone of them is willing to give up. Okay, he asked both of them that if anyone of them is willing to give up and remove his name to be elected as the caliph, to which they both remained quiet. Okay, they remained silent. Then Abdurrahman bin Auf asked that, could you leave the matter on me, and I bear Allah as witness that I will not select but the better one of you. Okay, so he asked them to leave the matter on him. Could you leave the matter on me, and I bear Allah as witness that I will not select but the better one of you. To which they both agreed. They accepted his offer. Okay, so what he asked, could you leave the matter on me, and I bear Allah as witness that I will not select but the better one of you. So they accepted. So Abdurrahman bin Auf took oath from both of them. Okay, what was the oath? That if they have been elected, they will follow the book of Allah Almighty, the Holy Quran, and they will also follow the footsteps of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So this oath has been taken that if they have been elected, they will follow the Holy Quran and the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And he also took the oath from them that if the other one has been elected, okay, if the other one has been elected in their place, they will accept him as a caliph and they will obey him. Okay, so this oath has been taken from both of them separately. So Abdurrahman bin Auf took an oath from both of them, and the oath has been taken from them separately. What was that oath? On the third day of, okay, on the morning of the third day, Hazrat Abdurrahman bin Auf put a single question to the to both the candidates. Okay, what was that single question that has been asked from these two candidates, these two companions? That do you pledge yourself to abide by the covenant of Allah? Okay, that you have to pledge with the name of Allah Almighty, that you have to act according to Allah's word. Okay, that you must act according to the word of Allah, means the Holy Quran, and to the practice of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and to which they both agreed and they both accepted. Okay, they both accepted. Finally, Abdurrahman bin Auf asked other senior companions. I told you one more thing, that Abdurrahman bin Auf also took oath from them that if he will elect the other one in place of that particular companion, okay, they will accept him. मतलब ये पूछा, लाइक हजरत अली से ये पूछा, अगर मैं आपको इलेक्ट करूं तो आप क्या करेंगे? यू विल फॉलो द होली कुरान एंड सुन्ना, ठीक है, और अगर मैं आपकी जगह उस्मान को इलेक्ट कर लूं तो यू हैव टू accept him and you must obey him. Ali Radhiyallahu anhu took the oath, and same oath has been taken from Usman Radhiyallahu anhu. If I elect you as a caliph, then you have to follow the Quran and Sunnah. Okay, and if I elect Ali in your place, you have to accept him as a caliph and you must obey him. He also took the oath. So when he took the oath from both of them, finally he also tried to gain the opinion, and he collected the opinion of the other senior companions of the Holy Prophet, and he reached to the conclusion that majority of the people, they favored Usman. Okay, when he noticed that majority they favored Usman, so he decided to elect Usman as the caliph. Okay, so Usman has been elected as a caliph, as a third caliph, and Abdurrahman bin Auf was the first person to show allegiance to him. And afterwards Ali Radhiyallahu anhu and other senior companions, Talha and Zubair and all other senior people, they swore allegiance to him. They took bath on his hand, and this is how Usman has been elected as a third caliph. So that's all about election of Usman Radhiyallahu anhu, that how Usman has been elected as a caliph. Okay, so there could be a question, that is, Usman was the third caliph of Islam. Write an account of his election and the administration of his Khilafat. So Usman was elected from a panel of 6 respected members of the community of Medina. Okay, these were the 6 very respected members of the community of Medina that Umar had set up on his deathbed. While he was on his deathbed, he made a panel. I told you that Umar's choice was Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah. The names of these 6 men were Ali, Talha, Zubair, okay, Usman, Saad bin Abi Waqqas, and Abdurrahman bin Auf. Okay, from this select council, Abdurrahman bin Auf withdrew his name and he acted as a chairman, okay, as an arbitrator. Talha was not in Medina at the time, okay, could not take part in the electoral meetings, and the choice was narrowed down between Usman and Ali. So Abdurrahman put a question to both the candidates. Having heard their responses, choose Usman as a caliph. So after having their responses, he decided to choose Usman as a caliph. Fine. So Ali was the first person to offer his allegiance to Usman, who after taking bath of the Muslims in the Prophet's mosque made a short speech. And what he promised to faithfully follow the Quran and Sunnah and the practices of the deceased caliphs. the first two caliphs. So this oath has been taken by Usman that he will follow the Quran and Sunnah, and he will also follow the practices of the first two caliphs, the deceased caliphs. Okay, again I am repeating that Usman has been elected by a panel of 6 people. Okay, and Abdurrahman was the one who acted as a chairman. Since he withdrew his name to be elected as a caliph, he was not willing to take the responsibility. Okay, he was not willing to shoulder this great responsibility at that time. That is why at that time the choice was narrowed. Okay, so out of these 6 people, Abdurrahman bin Auf withdrew his name. Talha was not there present. So the choice was narrowed to Usman and Ali. So Abdurrahman bin Auf, I told you that he put a question in front of these 2 people that if they have been elected, what they have to do, they have to follow the Quran and Sunnah, and they must follow the practice of the previous 2 caliphs, the deceased caliphs. Deceased means those who are dead. जो कैलिफ की डेथ हो गई उन दोनों कैलिफ की प्रैक्टिसेस को भी फॉलो करेंगे. So Usman has taken this oath. He took the oath and he promised that he will follow. Okay, so this is how Usman has been elected as a caliph, as the third caliph of the Muslim Ummah. So again, to sum up what I have mentioned, that Umar was killed by a Persian slave named Feroz. Okay, he was attacked. Umar was attacked and he died on the 1st of Muharram 24 AH. I told you that Prophet Umar's choice was Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah to nominate him as his successor. But since Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah had died due to the plague which has spread during Umar's Khilafat, so Umar's next choice was Abdurrahman bin Auf, and Abdurrahman was not willing to take this responsibility, to shoulder this great responsibility. Yes. So Umar made a panel of 6 people. Okay, 6 people including Usman and Ali, Talha and Zubair, Abdurrahman bin Auf and Saad bin Abi Waqas. These were the 6 people in the panel. They were all from the 10 blessed companions. Okay, Umar had instructed them to elect the new caliph within 3 days, and on the 4th day the caliph must take the charge of the office. Since Abdurrahman bin Auf he withdrew his name, so he acted as the chairman and he was the one who has to take the final decision, and he was selected as an arbitrator to solve this election issue. So Abdurrahman bin Auf asked, when he noticed that majority of the people they favored Usman or Ali, so he asked them that if any one of them is willing to give up his status of candidacy, that okay, if anyone from them is willing to withdraw so that he may elect the other one, to which they both remained quiet. Okay, finally he put a question to both of them. Okay, what was the question? He asked them, could you leave the matter on me, and I bear Allah as witness that I will not select but the better one of you. Okay, but the better one of you. To which they accepted and they agreed. So he put a question and he took an oath from both of them that if they have been elected, they will follow the book of Allah, the Holy Quran, and they will follow the Prophet Sunnah, okay, his practice. Okay, so they accept. And in case the other one has been elected in their place, they will accept him as a caliph and they will obey him. Okay, this oath has been taken. Okay, आप दोनों से, he has taken oath from both of them separately. The oath has been taken from both separately. They took the oath, and finally when he consulted the other senior companions, Abdurrahman bin Auf noticed that majority they favored Usman. So with his personal decision, he decided to elect Usman as a caliph. Abdurrahman was the first to show allegiance to him, and Ali was the next one. And this is how the whole Shura, they elected Usman as a caliph. Okay, after being elected as the caliph, Usman addressed. Okay, he addressed them. Okay, and what he made a short speech promising what he promised, that he faithfully follow the Quran and Sunnah, and he will also follow the practices of the deceased caliphs. Okay, the first two caliphs. That was about his election. Next thing that you have to that you must know. Okay, what were the major services of Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu during his rule? Major services, or you may be asked, right about the major achievements of Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu during his rule. What were the major achievements, what major services which he had rendered during his Khilafat? So first of all, you have to focus on that he crushed the revolt. Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu faced revolt. Okay, after the death of Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, there was revolt in some areas. The areas which have been conquered earlier in the later years of Hazrat Umar's Khilafat, some of these areas they rebelled, they revolted. They considered Usman radiallahu anhu very weak. Okay, so there were revolt in three areas. Like there was a revolt in Alexandria. Okay, that was a part of Egypt at that time. Still. Okay, there was a revolt in Armenia and Azerbaijan. So Usman radiallahu anhu successfully crushed these revolt. Fine. So these were the part of Iraq or Basra. Okay, Iraq. You can say that was the part of Iraq or Kufa. So Usman radiallahu anhu crushed the revolt which broke out after the death of Umar radiallahu anhu. The first thing that you have to identify. He crushed the revolt. Second important thing that you have to identify among his services and achievement, that the whole of the North Africa has been conquered. Okay, whole of the North Africa has been conquered during Usman radiallahu anhu's Khilafat. Okay, there was a revolt in some parts of Egypt. Not only the revolt has been crushed, the whole of the North Africa has been conquered. Like you can identify like areas like Tunisia, Algeria, okay, Morocco, okay, and these areas were conquered during the Caliphate of Hazrat Usman. These areas were added. So Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco were added. Whole of the North Africa has been conquered at that time. Then another thing that you have to identify, that for the first time Muslims they built naval fleet. Okay, naval fleet. Okay, Muslims they built their navy. Two of the Muslim governors, okay, the Syrian governor was Hazrat Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and the Egyptian governor was Abdullah bin Saad radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So these two governors, with the permission of Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, prepared navy, and for the first time Muslim ships started roaming in the Mediterranean. Okay, identify that for the first time Muslims they built their navy, and with the help of that navy, for the first time Muslims they came into conflict and war with the Byzantines, and one of the greatest battle which was fought was the Battle of Mast. Okay, it was the Battle of Mast in which Muslims they defeated the Byzantine navy, and so much was the bloodshed that the sea water turned red. The Byzantine naval fleet was completely crippled and it was completely destroyed. So this is how for the first time Muslims established their supremacy over the Byzantine army. Umar radiallahu anhu during his Khilafat was not in favor of naval war. Okay, several times these commanders they wanted to take permission from Hazrat Umar, but Umar was not in favor that Muslims should not go for the naval war. Usman radiallahu anhu, when he was elected, again these commanders took permission and made him realize that without having a strong navy, they will have always a threat of the Roman invasion from the sea, through the sea. That is why it was very much important, and with the help of this navy they successfully conquered several islands. Okay, identify that they had conquered Cyprus, Okay, Rhodes, Sicily, different islands were also conquered at that time. So this was just one of the major success of the Muslims at that time. So what we have identified in the achievements of Hazrat Usman Radhiyallahu anhu, first of all, we have mentioned that he crushed the revolt. Okay, after crushing the revolt, whole of the North Africa has also been conquered by the Muslims. Identify, you will identify. Muslims, they built navy. Okay, and they conquered the islands like Cyprus, Rhodes, and Sicily, and they started roaming in the Mediterranean. Another major achievement was conquest in the east. Not only there were the conquests in the north and west, Muslims also conquered many areas in the east, and they had conquered as far as रिवॉल्ट इज द अपराइजिंग. रिवॉल्ट किसको कहते हैं? रिवॉल्ट कहते हैं अपराइजिंग को. ठीक है, बगावत को, किसी के हुकूमत के खिलाफ उठने को. बिकॉज आफ्टर द डेथ ऑफ हजरत उमर रज़ी अल्लाह तआला अन्हु, some non-Muslims who were living in the Islamic Empire, they considered Usman radiallahu anhu very weak. Okay, they thought that this is a right time and they have an opportunity that they can rebel against their governors and they can regain their lost areas. So they were revolted in some areas where there were many non-Muslims living there. Like in Egypt, there were many Jews, Romans, and in some parts of the Persia that has been conquered by the Muslims, there were living many Persians, Zoroastrians, and the worshippers of fire. So in some of these areas there was a revolt. Okay, rebels वो होते हैं जो बगावत करते हैं, जो रिवॉल्ट करते हैं, जो मुखालफत कर रहे होते हैं. They are called rebels. So there were conquests in the east also, and several areas were conquered towards east. Like Muslims, they had conquered Armenia and Azerbaijan again. They also conquered Hisraf. Okay, Ghazni. They conquered Ghazni, and they also conquered Kabul, which is the capital of Afghanistan. Okay, they conquered Khorasan, Tabristan, and they reached as far as Makran, the outlying areas of the subcontinent in Pakistan. These areas were conquered during the Caliphate of Hazrat Usman radhiyallahu anhu. So such great success and such a great achievements have been achieved by Hazrat Usman radhiyallahu anhu at that time. So in order to explain it further, we have this file that how the Islamic Empire has expanded. So I told you that there was a revolt. Okay, there was a revolt in Alexandria and that has been crushed. Okay, Usman anhu sent Amr bin Alas, who defeated the Romans, and he was the one who had conquered Egypt earlier for the first time during the Caliphate of Hazrat Umar. So it was conquered in the era of Hazrat Umar anhu. But since Egypt was a very important part of the Roman Empire, okay, because of its fertility, and they wanted to take it back from the Muslims, and also there were great number of Romans in Egypt. बहुत ज़्यादा तादाद में वहाँ पे रूमी वो लोग रहते थे. So in 25 AH there was an uprising in Alexandria, and Heraclius also had sent an army from Constantinople by the sea, and Muslims, okay, the governor there, he was unable to defeat the uprising. So Osman sent Amr bin Alas. Amr bin Alas has been appointed, and he was the one who defeated the Romans vigorously and put down the rising. So Muslims, they crushed the revolt in Alexandria. The second revolt was in Armenia and in Azerbaijan. Okay, both these provinces were under the control of Saad bin Abi Waqqas. He was the governor of Kufa. Okay, these were the part of Kufa. Saad was unable to handle the situation. Okay, he was unable to crush the revolt. So Saad was removed. Usman removed Saad from the governorship. Okay, and he appointed Walid bin Uqba. So the new governor, he took military action and it was conquered. Army. Okay, so Azerbaijan was conquered. It was reconquered. And Salman bin Rabia was sent to reconquer Armenia. So Armenia was also reconquered by another commander, that was Salman bin Rabia. Afterwards, I told you to add, yes, Egypt was under the Muslim rule from the time of Hazrat Umar radhiyallahu anhu, but with the death of Umar, the people there rebelled. Okay, because the Romans living there in Egypt, they revolted with the help of the Byzantine Emperor Heraclius. Okay, he had sent his forces from the sea, and Muslims they successfully later on crushed the revolt. Okay, we talked about that the whole of the North Africa has been conquered. Okay, the governor of Egypt was Abdullah bin Saad. You may say Abdullah bin Saad, you may say Abdullah bin Sara, both are same. So the governor was Abdullah bin Saad. Okay, he was the governor of Egypt. Hazrat Usman ordered him to advance into the North Africa, and he first conquered Tripoli, and the people there they signed an agreement and they agreed to pay jizya of 25,000 dirham. The people of Tripoli they accepted, they signed a treaty, and they accepted to pay 25,000 dirham jizya annually. Osman also sent Abdullah bin Zubair with the reinforcement from Medina, and Muslims they conquered Tripoli, Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria. These areas which I had already identified were conquered. Okay, from here you will talk about the naval fleet, because Cyprus was an island, okay, and it was conquered by the Muslim navy. Okay, they built the navy because during Umar's Khilafat he has not given the permission to invade Cyprus. Why? Because he was opposed to sea fighting. Okay, Umar was opposed to sea fighting, so he has not given the permission. But Hazrat Usman anhu allowed. Okay, he allowed. So Usman made Muawiyah the governor of Syria, and during Usman's caliphate he was given the permission. So he has given the permission. Why? Because without having a naval fort, Muslim army would not be that much strong to face the Byzantine army. So that is why Usman has given the permission to the governor of Syria and the governor of Egypt together. Okay, दोनों ने मिलकर, किन दोनों ने मिलकर, governor of Syria Hazrat Muawiyah and the governor of Egypt Abdullah bin Saad. Okay, they made their naval fleet, and they also joined them their fleets, and Cyprus was conquered, and the people of Cyprus they agreed to pay jizya, 7,000 jizya annually. Okay, you have to identify that Cyprus was made the capital, or it was conquered, and a peace treaty was signed, and they accepted to pay jizya. Fine. Then you have to mention, along with the naval war, you also have to write about the Battle of Mast. Okay, this was the first naval battle which was fought at that time, in which Muslim navy they proved themselves powerful. They established their supremacy over the Byzantine navy. Okay, how? Because for the first time Muslims they had defeated them. Okay, this was the first naval fight. It was in 37 AH. Okay, it was 37 AH. Okay, maybe it may be wrong, because okay, I think it would be that must be 27 AH. Okay, we have to correct it, and you must also check and verify it, because Muslims navy was built in around 27 and 28 AH. Okay, so this could not be 37, because Usman died in 35 AH. Fine. So the first naval battle which was fought, in which Hazrat Muawiyah's fleet along with the fleet of Abdullah bin Sara or Abdullah bin Saad, they advanced and they met the enemy at the coast of Mount Phoenix. Okay, here the battle was fought at the coast at that particular harbor, and in which Muslims they proved themselves capable, and so much was the bloodshed that the sea water turned red, and they conquered. Okay, they laid the foundation of the Muslim sea power. This is also called the Battle of Phoenix. So it is also called the Battle of Mars, the Battle of Phoenix. These are the different names of this battle. So whenever you have to write about the major achievements of Usman anhu, or the major success of Usman, so you must first of all start with the revolt, that how he crushed the revolt. Okay, we are talking about the major services and achievements of Usman. Okay, he crushed the revolt, the whole of the North Africa has been conquered. Okay, then you must mention that naval fleet was built, and then there were the conquests in the east. These areas were conquered. Okay, other major services of Usman was the compilation of Quran. Okay, write in detail about how the Quran has been compiled and a standard copy has been made. Okay, you know that during the time, during his Khilafat, it has been noticed by Hazrat Huzaifa bin Yaman. Okay, Huzaifa had noticed the difference amongst the Muslims over the recitation of Quran, and he brought this matter into the knowledge of Usman, and Usman appointed Zaid bin Sabit along with three other companions from Quraysh, and they have been given a task to compile the Quran and make a standard copy of it. Okay, the standard copy was made in the accent of Quraysh. Okay, the proper accent of Quraysh, and you know that 7 copies were made which were sent to all the provincial capitals with the orders that in future Quran must be recited in that particular accent. Other copies were collected and they were burnt. Okay, initially Usman was admired. People admired him that Caliph has done such a great work. But later on, they raised a cry against him that Caliph has burnt some of the authentic volumes. For this service of Usman, he has been given the title Jamiul Quran. Okay, the Jamiul Quran, the one who had gathered the whole Ummah on the uniform reading of Quran, has been given to him. Okay, you must also talk about his administration very briefly because there could be a separate question about his administration. Okay, but if it is about his services and his achievement, so you have to write briefly about his administration, that how he administered the Islamic empire, what other social work, what other uh, developmental work he did during his Khilafat, during his rule. Okay, here you also have to mention that Usman Razilullah anhu ruled over the Islamic empire for 12 years. These years were successful, particularly the first 6 to 8 years were successful, very much successful. They were glorious and they were remarkable. And several administrative measures have been taken by Usman anhu at that time. So 12 years rule was remarkable. They were prosperous. They were full of success. Okay, there were so many conquests. Okay, so it has the Islamic Empire was strengthened and it expanded to 2400,000 square miles. During Umar's rule, it was 2200,000 square miles. So another 200,000 square miles have been added, and further the areas were reconquered which revolted against the Caliph Usman anhu. So further expansion has also been made, and Usman anhu proved himself very much capable and successful ruler. Okay, so since during that time the number of zakat payers were increased, so that is why there were so many developmental work, so many social work has been done at that time. Umar anhu, before his death, he had advised that the policies and the reforms which he had introduced and the administrative work and the administration which he has laid down, okay, so that must continue at least for a year. Okay, the new caliph must not change these policies at least for a year, because he has initiated and he has started these things with the help and support of the senior companions and after their advice. So he wanted that they must continue even after his death, or they must not be changed for at least 1 year. Okay, Usman Anhu was a very successful administrator. So he followed the footsteps of the first two caliphs, Abu Bakr and Umar, and also the footstep of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Like, he managed the affairs of the state on the Islamic principles of consultation. So there was Majlis Shura. Okay, there was the advisory council. That is the basic Islamic principle that they used to consult the eminent and the senior people. Okay, he used to consult the governors appointed in the various areas. Okay, in the various governmental tasks. Okay, he held meetings with the district administrators also, and everything was done with mutual consultation and mutual discussion. In order to administer the Islamic empire well, he has divided it into different provinces, because as a caliph it would be difficult to interfere and to look after the whole Islamic empire alone. So it has been divided into administrative zones which are called provinces, and provinces were further divided into districts. Okay, since this has been done during the Caliphate of Usman Anhu, yes, we can say that there were 12 provinces at that time, and they were further divided into approximately 100 districts. So, Baitul Mal has been established by Hazrat Umar Anhu during his Khilafat. So, the existing departments were further expanded or organized. Okay, they were actually initiated and started by Hazrat Umar. Okay, Baitul Mal, the public treasury. Okay, in the same way, judiciary. In the same way, the police department. These were the major departments which were initiated by Hazrat Umar. Okay, Usman anhu, what he did, he expanded these and he organized these in a much better way. Fine. So he had further expanded them and organized them more. He has made them more organized. Okay, Usman, if we look into the administration of Usman, we can see that Usman was not as strict as Hazrat Umar anhu. But we cannot say that he was ignorant and he had ignored the mistakes of his governors or those appointed on the key posts. He never allowed anyone to act contrary to the Islamic values, against Islamic values. Okay, whenever he found them doing wrong, he took strict action against them. Okay, on the occasion of Hajj, okay, he would listen. People were permitted to lodge their complaints against any government official. He would listen to their complaints directly and he will take action then and there. He several times dismissed or punished several officials and the governors upon the complaints of the ordinary people. Okay, and you can give and support your answer with some example that he took action. Fine. Since Islamic Empire expanded and there were more people who were paying zakat, and due to the conquest and the expansion of the Islamic Empire, due to the increasing conquest, the income of Baitul Mal was also increased. So this increase because the reason behind, because the wealth and the income has increased, so what he did, he also increased the allowances. Okay, he increased the salaries of the officers, the officials, the government officers. Okay, he did many public welfare works. Okay, he constructed new buildings. Okay, he also he did such welfare work like bridges, roads, highways. Okay, several mosques were built. The existing mosques were further expanded, like the Masjid Nabawi and Masjid Haram were expanded. Okay, there was a shortage of the grazing ground for the camels and the horses, state horses and the state camels. Okay, there were horses and camels which were owned by the state. So there was a need of grazing grounds for these animals. So he added these areas which were reserved for the grazing grounds for these animals. Okay, a dam was also constructed during his Khilafat. At that time, it was called Mahroz Dam. It was built in the direction of Khyber. Khyber was near Medina. Whenever it rained in Khyber, Medina got occasionally flooded from the direction of Khyber. So in order to protect Medina from flooding, he decided to build dam on that side. This was called Mahroz Dam. Okay, so it protected Medina from flooding in future, and it also made the availability of water for the people of Medina. Okay, so several development work has been done, and in the same way, extension of Masjid Nabawi, extension of Masjid Haram, and the building was constructed with the decorative stones with lime plaster. Okay, it was used for the as a construction material. So Masjid Nabawi was further improved in a better way. In the same way, he increased the salaries of the people and the armed officers by 25%. Okay, he distributed the money among the poor and the needy, and he was the most generous in the month of Ramzan. Fine. So for the first time, navy was built. So these are the different things that we have to identify, that Usman anhu did lot of administrative measures during his Khilafat. So Usman was and we can say that he was also a good administrator, and he did several administrative work for the welfare of the people. So this is about Usman anhu's Khilafat, that the way he served the people during his Khilafat. Okay, so there are three major questions that could be asked from this topic. Okay, you may be asked about to write about Usman's election and his administration, or even a separate question about his administration could come. They may ask you to write about Usman's election and the compilation of Quran, or the major charges which were faced by Usman. What were the reasons of these charges? The revolt which started against him and which resulted in his assassination. So these are the few questions which are related to the topic of the Caliphate of Usman, and these two recordings which are related to Usman will help you to prepare for your mid-year exam or to prepare for your CI exams. Okay, so this is a complete information about Usman's Khilafat.